meet your council member reading for the dark essence. So, firstly, I am feeling for you a bit that I am going to need to just explain the name a little bit and give you a little bit of homework. If I were you, I would watch our videos, Why We Are Nocturnal, and also Unexplored Energies, Positive Darkness, and Negative Light. I'm pretty sure that's what the video is called. And that gives our view and also the Council for the Assistance to Earth's view on darkness and on the essence of darkness and the essence of light. And really that they are both positive, that they are both neutral. And to the Council, so I'm going to explain this very briefly, but like I said, I would look into those videos. They're going to explain it a little more, especially since we only have 15 minutes for the reading. But basically, the dark current is the feminine energy, and it represents your inward self and your subconscious. It also represents your dreams, your intuition, your psychic ability, whereas light to them is the masculine energy. So this is basically what you are conscious of. It is your consciousness, your conscious awareness, and it is also your ability to manifest outwardly on the world around you. Also, the dark energy represents your inner desire, the thing that you want to manifest. Whereas, like I said, the light represents your ability to do that, and it represents the manifestation itself, or the power to manifest itself. Okay, so before I even made my sphere, before I even visualized that and cast my sacred space, I was already feeling an energy coming up very, very quickly. And that's really what this code name kind of has to do with, the dark essence, because this council member definitely has a positive dark energy. And then as I surrounded myself in positive energy, and then I surrounded you in your picture, and I have a few crystals here. I was using my selenite wand here to visualize the positive energy, and this actually does represent always a higher energy to me, or normally. Sometimes it just represents clearing. A lot of the time it represents both. In this case, I kind of feel that it represents both, but it definitely represents an angelic frequency coming in. And then I also have my smaller one here. This is my crystal quartz wand. Okay, and I'll get into the other two in a minute. But as I was surrounding us in the light, and as I was about to begin the reading, actually the first energy that came up, more to start speaking on behalf of you, kind of as a guide, not as the council member, but as a guide, was Archangel Michael. And so I do have him coming up, and I do feel a lot of like angelic energies around you, but I also almost get this feeling that you tend to explore these lighter currents of energy, and you're kind of attracted to that. Even if you were to explore some other energies, let's say fairies, for example, and you were attempting like to heal with the fairies or something like this, or heal with the angels and bring healing or assist you in some way. Fairies, their true nature, they are extremely, extremely magical. And they have the ability to shift dimensions in a split second, to basically shift time in a split second. and they have a very kind of playful, mischievous quality to them. They will kind of do something that's, yeah, a little bit mischievous to get their point across, or to help someone see the world in a more magical, kind of playful way. Whereas angels don't really have that so much. They don't really have so much of a mischievous kind of nature to them. And I do mean that in a good way. I mean in like a playful kind of way. But there are some like New Age books and things that you could read that kind of actually remove that essence, or attempt to, from the fairies, and they more just focus on, you know, the fairy queens and the fairy kings, the highest fairy energies, but also they kind of take out that information a little bit, and they don't really go into that kind of playful side so much. They want to kind of mute that and just focus just on the magic and the healing that comes from the fairies, and what you can gain by having a positive relationship with them, but at the same time not exactly knowing them, not exactly knowing the frequency of the fairies. And so this kind of happens sometimes a little bit in New Age, where you kind of mute something that that is a little bit different, or really has a little bit of a dark kind of energy, but not in a negative way, in a positive way. Okay. So another thing that the darkness represents is, it really represents, like, even though the masculine energy can be very grounding because it is about manifesting and it is about action, at the same time, it is a more mental energy as well. And so it can also be a very kind of high up here kind of vibration, where it kind of cuts things, clears things, gets things done. And the feminine energy, the dark energy, is also a very grounding energy in a different way. It is a grounding energy in actually a very protective way, where you feel like you are basically in the womb of Mother Earth. And so it's a very safe, very relaxing, comforting, grounded type of energy. And of course, the masculine energy offers a protective energy as well. And so there is this balance of basically two different ways to do the same things. And so both have aspects of one another, kind of all intertwined. You can also have just like, you know, people, they can be female. For instance, when I'm reading, sometimes I'll feel a female person and I'll think that they're male, or I'll feel a male person and I'll think that they are female, because they have more of a male energy or more of a female energy no matter what body they're in. And so this guide is definitely in a masculine form. He feels very masculine, but at the same time, his energy feels very dark. So this is the feminine energy that he carries, I would say, primarily, or at least in this incarnation, or in this experience that he's having now. Not exactly incarnation like a physical incarnation, but in his experience now, this is what he's primarily carrying, even though he is masculine, even though he is a male entity. So I just get the feeling that your guides kind of almost to discover yourself a bit more, they want you to pull back a little bit, not completely, but just pull back a little bit from exploring only certain vibrations, just so that you can learn to incorporate others and see others more fully. Even if you have been working with some other energies, see them more fully. Even from this Archangel Michael energy, I do get this feeling from him, like, yes, he's an angel, and yes, it's about service to others, and yes, it is about, you know, light, love, these types of things. But at the same time, Archangel Michael, he fights demons. You know, this is what he does. Or in other words, negativity. He fights thought forms. He fights reptilians. He fights negative energy or negative entities. This is why people call him and they ask for protection from him, or they ask to be cleared in their energy field, or they ask for cord clearing. So he's very much into the removal of negativity. Now, also, and this is Archangel Michael talking, although if you notice, I kind of um, felt an energy, I kind of reacted a little bit to an energy coming up before. This is the other guide. So I do have this male guide standing behind me, but then I also have Archangel Michael over here, like I was saying earlier, was coming up. So another thing that they were coming through with, this was also earlier in the reading, and they're bringing it up again, is a connection to your own power. So I'm going to go ahead and get into these other two crystals now. So I have my citrine here. I've got to get some more solar plexus stones. Right now, this is the only one that I have, but this is a very empowering stone. It is about your own empowerment or self-empowerment. That's what it has to do with. It also has to do with your ambition and your drive on the world, and really your masculine energy, your manifesting energy. That's very much what this has to do with. Even these very high, clear crystals here, where they're also very much about cutting, and they also go straight up and down. They're wands. This is very masculine energy. So really, all of these are more masculine energies. I also have these shards here. I don't know how many I pulled. I just grabbed a handful of these. These are my kyanite shards. And I'm going to count how many of these I picked up exactly. So I picked up 18 of these exactly. So that is a 9. That's a 9. And so that's all about like the completion of a cycle. 9s are about completion, fulfillment, endings. And so they're also about letting go, coming into something new, since it is the completion of a cycle. So letting go of negative things. But specifically, this is about letting go of seeing yourself in a negative way and really seeing yourself as powerless, because this that's coming through has to do with your own power, and that you almost shy away from your power a little bit in some cases, that you have trouble fully, firmly gripping your power and speaking with authority, speaking what you truly want to say. And that's really what these male angels around you are about. You know, that's really what this angelic, like Archangel Michael kind of energy is about. He speaks his mind, he speaks with authority, and he sets boundaries. And so there's this feeling like, for instance, if you were to, it's like you would set a boundary if everyone were going to be all cool with it, and it would seem loving and it would seem fine. But if there's a boundary you need to set that's loving yourself, but the other person wouldn't necessarily take it that way or see it that way, then you would have more of a problem setting that boundary. You would have more trouble. Even they're saying, even seeing that that boundary needs to be set. And they're saying that sometimes this is the problem or that this can be a problem for empathic people. People with empathy, it's like they kind of shut down their needs and feel that they're supposed to give to others, to the point that they're saying specifically to the point that they surrender to them, like they surrender to them fully. But they mean that in a negative way, almost like a negative surrendering. Because you can have a positive surrendering, obviously, very much. We talk about that a lot in the spiritual community. But they're almost meaning surrender in a defeated kind of way. Like, let someone else defeat you, or let someone else overpower you or overcome you, and take away your right to almost have certain privileges, and setting a boundary, in a sense, is a privilege, or is giving yourself a privilege. But they're saying give yourself the authority to take that privilege. And you have the authority within yourself. So you're not exactly giving it to yourself. It's already there. But they're also saying, they're adding on to that, give yourself permission. And they're saying, so it almost seems like you have to give it to yourself, almost like it isn't there, or like you're inadequate when it comes to stepping into your rightful place, taking care of yourself, letting yourself prosper. They're saying that this all has to do with a worthiness, but it also has to do with giving yourself permission that this is like this is your divine calling. It's your divine authority to do this. So I only very briefly looked into the questions for the next reading, but some of this definitely has to do with that. If you're not accepting of your power, then how can you voice that power, which means how can you manifest that power? And okay, so I will get into that, although our time is limited here, so I'll say it briefly, but this is coming up again. They're mentioning it. And earlier, towards the very beginning, I think when I was getting the code name, actually, and actually, I think it was also when this first energy was coming up, this positive dark energy. Was that you did have a lifetime where you were a witch and you were burnt, or you were killed in some way, some kind of very torturous way, and so you experienced a penalty for stepping into your power, really, and also just being creative and being free. So you weren't doing anything negative in this lifetime. You were basically just being yourself. And women were not allowed to have any power then, or be allowed really to look at things differently. And I get the feeling that you were actually just researching other things. You know, you were into observing the world from just a different perspective. So I get the feeling it wasn't even really that you were a witch. Although definitely there were some people who were like healers and this type of thing, and they were accused as being negative. And so then this word witch became something very negative, whereas originally it just simply meant wise one. That's what the original meaning of the word witch is. It just means wise one. It was people who knew herbs and these different things. So you did have this lifetime where you were killed simply for having a different viewpoint of things. And this has really dampened this ability to speak. And also I'll say quickly that kyanite, this blue kyanite, actually has to do with the throat chakra as well. And with these clearing crystals, this tells me that some of this has to do with clearing the throat chakra. And also there's the solar plexus here, which has to do with personal power. So clearing the solar plexus. So you have a little bit of homework with this reading, some videos to look at, some chakra clearing to do with Archangel Michael, I'm guessing. So even though this council member didn't give his name, you can work with him. And we might speak about that a little bit more in the next reading. But for now, our time is up. So thank you very much, the Dark Essence, for allowing me to do this reading for you. And I truly hope that this helps you in some way. Thank you. Namaste.